What if you could design a society completely from scratch? I mean, forget all the politics, all the history, just a total blank slate. What would the blueprint for a truly just legal system actually look like? Well, today, we're going to unpack the incredible work of philosopher John Rawls, who gave us what might be the most powerful blueprint of the 20th century.
So, where do you even start? To really get Rawls, you have to think like an architect. His challenge was, well, it was monumental, to design the fundamental principles for the entire structure of society itself.
And this is the question that's right at the heart of his whole project. It's not just some abstract philosophical game. He saw it as a real design problem. How do you get rid of all the biases we naturally have, for our own families, our own talents, our own social class, and create a set of rules that is genuinely, truly fair for everybody? Rawls' answer was this brilliant thought experiment he called the original position. Just picture a hypothetical meeting. It's like the ultimate constitutional convention, but not for a single country, it's for society itself. But wait a minute, how do you make sure the people in this meeting don't just cook up rules that benefit themselves? Well, Rawls had a secret ingredient for fairness, a really powerful idea he called the veil of ignorance. Behind this veil, you are totally stripped of any information about who you are. You don't know your class, your race, your natural talents, not even your deepest beliefs. So, since you could end up as anyone in society once the veil is lifted, you're pretty much forced to choose principles that are going to protect everyone. It's a game changer. Okay, so what kind of blueprint actually emerges from this radically impartial process? Rawls argued that any rational person thinking from behind this veil would all agree on just two fundamental principles of justice. Not some complicated legal code, but a clear, elegant foundation for everything else. Just two. Let's dig into the first one. The first principle is totally non-negotiable. Everyone gets the widest possible set of basic liberties. We're talking freedom of speech, conscience, the right to vote, as long as it doesn't step on the same liberties for other people. And this is crucial. These liberties have absolute priority. You can't trade them away for anything, not for more money or for national security. They always, always come first. Now, the second principle tackles social and economic inequality, and it comes in two parts. First, fair equality of opportunity means that the doors of opportunity aren't just formally open, but that everyone has a real, genuine shot at walking through them. But the most radical part is what he calls the difference principle. This says that inequalities are okay, but only if they're set up to benefit the least well-off people in society the most. Why would you choose this? Well, it's like a rational insurance policy. Since you don't know if you'll be on the top or the bottom, you design a system that makes the worst-case scenario as good as it can possibly be. Now, as you can probably guess, this difference principle was and still is incredibly controversial. Rawls's own colleague at Harvard, Robert Nozick, fired back with a really powerful critique. He basically argued that taxing successful people to help the least advantaged is a major violation of their liberty, that it's essentially a form of forced labor. I mean, this is a deep, fundamental clash of ideas about what justice and freedom really mean. Okay, so Rawls gives us this grand architectural blueprint for justice. It's powerful, it's elegant, for sure. But what happens when that perfect blueprint meets the messy reality of the actual world? How does all this theory help a judge decide a real case in a real courtroom? And this is the critical gap, right? A blueprint is great, but you need a builder. We have the principles, but we still need a theory of how to interpret them and apply them when things get complicated. And that is exactly where another brilliant philosopher, Ronald Dworkin, enters the story. So if Rawls is the architect who designs the whole system, you can think of Dworkin as the master craftsman, the judge, who shows us how to actually build with moral integrity. Dworkin's big idea is something he called law as integrity. He argued that a judge's job isn't just to apply rules like a robot, it's to interpret the entire legal system, the Constitution, the laws, all the past cases, and make it the best, most coherent moral story it can possibly be. A story that lines up with the very principles of justice and fairness that Rawls was trying to establish in the first place. And this comparison just makes their roles so clear. Rawls is working ex ante. That's a fancy way of saying before the fact. He's designing an ideal system from scratch. Dworkin, on the other hand, is working ex post, or after the fact. He's interpreting the legal system we already have to make it as just as it can be. So instead of thinking of them as rivals, it's way more helpful to see them as philosophical allies. They're each working on a different stage of the same enormous project, building and maintaining a just legal system.
And the parallels in their thinking are just striking, especially when you look at rights. For Rawls, liberties are lexically prior, which just means they come first, period. For Dworkin, individual rights are trumps that can override other goals like the general welfare. It's different language, but it's the exact same core belief in the importance of the individual. Rawls gives us the foundational charter, and Dworkin gives the judge the interpretive tool to actually uphold it.
And it's this combination that's just so powerful. You really need both, right? You need the architect's blueprint for a fair foundation, and you need the judge's craft to build on top of it with moral integrity, one case at a time. At the end of the day, both Rawls and Dworkin shared this really profound vision of what law is supposed to be. That it's not just about power or a random set of rules, or even about being efficient. No, at its very best, law is a principled enterprise, and it's fundamentally tied to the pursuit of justice. Which kind of leaves us with a final, really important question to think about. If the laws we live under really are the blueprint for our society, then what does that blueprint say about us? What kind of society are we right now actually building?